So, um, I think I already talked about seeing the movie, but I kind of want to talk about a different perspective on Sam Wilson being Captain America. Um, like I get it, man. Listen, I'm here for it, man. That's the first thing. Second thing is, I get it. Nobody wants a black Captain America. And everybody's entitled to their opinions, right? Everybody is entitled to their opinion on not wanting to have a black Captain America. Some people like it, some people hate it. No matter. Believe it or not, you would think this is crazy. In the world that we live in today, you would think this is crazy, but it was actually, and this photo is edited. I don't know who made this, but anyway, there are people that are black that didn't like that Captain America was black. Okay, and this is not one of these, like, we talk about all the time, race swapping, gender swapping characters in a movie or a cartoon show, right? This is actually the total opposite of this. This is a passing of a mantle. This is where something like an original character who's been white for most of their run then decides to pass the mantle on Captain America, pass the mantle of Captain America to someone else. And that someone else in the comics, I don't know which happened first. I think it was Bucky first, then it was Falcon at some point, or I could be wrong, or it could be the other way around. But currently in the new comic run, Falcon, Sam Wilson, is the current Captain America in the current run of the comics. So I don't know which one came first, whether it was Bucky first or Sam Wilson, right? So with that being said, this is one of the things that people don't understand when it comes to the MCU. MCU is not the comic books. Yes, they take storylines from it, but they alter it a little bit. Not too much where it's like far off, you know. An example of changing things, mostly due because they don't have rights to characters, is Ant-Man. Hank Pym was the original creator of Ultron, but in the MCU, we got Bruce Banner and Iron Man creating Ultron, and then creating Vision later on, which that's not how it happened in the comics. So, anyway, with that being said, the reason why people don't understand why it makes sense that Sam Wilson is Captain America, and I get, we can talk about the story of the film, how short it was. They had extensive reshoots, and there was probably more to the plot. And I'm not gonna lie, with the vibe of the trailer that it gave, it really gave off more New World Order than it did Brave New World. Because Brave New World sounds like more of a bright, kind of like type of thing. Like, Brave New World really sounds like a Steve Rogers type of film. New World Order sounds like a Sam Wilson film, or like if Bucky was gonna be the Captain America, right? That's my consensus. That's what it sounds like. Because New World Order sounds way more, it felt more New World Order, right? Anyway, and that's just my opinion. But it makes sense. If we're going to talk about strictly the MCU and why it makes sense, understand Bucky was by capsized in 1945, all right? But then he was presumed dead when he fell off the train. Fast forward all the way up until Winter Soldier, we get the introduction of Sam Wilson. They meet for the first time. Now imagine, Bucky is presumed dead all these years. We think this dude is dead. Understand, Sam Wilson helped Steve fight against Bucky when he hopped up on the scene as the Winter Soldier, right? At this point in time, Bucky is evil. He's mind control. He's brainwashed, right? Even in the climax of that movie, Bucky ends up disappearing, pulling Steve Rogers out of the water, all of that, and disappears. So, when people say, oh, Bucky should have been, how? Then dude disappeared again for another time. When does he pop back up? Civil War. Right? Civil War. And that's already after the Avengers fought Ultron. Right? So they had a whole nother world almost ending event. Still no Bucky. Sam pops up at this Avengers party that they have at the new compound, right? So my whole thing, or it was at Stark Tower. It was still Stark Towers at the time. So at the Stark Tower, they didn't move yet. So that's the whole thing. And then Civil War, he pops up, but guess who's the bad guy? Technically, he's not really the bad guy, but he's framed to be the bad guy, right? Bucky. Who's fighting on his side? Who's helping capture him? Who got recruited from the Avengers? Sam Wilson. Who's leading the new recruits of the Avengers in Civil War? Steve Rogers. This is why it makes sense. Like, I don't think people are understanding the timeline, and then why at the end. What did Sam Wilson say? The people that shoot at Cat end up shooting at me. Well, it makes sense because he's helping him, right? So this is the thing that people don't understand. This is not, when you really think about it as a black man, this has nothing to do with, oh, we just want a black Captain America to diversify and hit our target groups for this year. No, this is something that makes sense. This is in the comics. This is something that has actually happened. Like, Marvel didn't just pull this out of their cheeks. You feel what I'm saying? They didn't just pull this out of their cheeks and was like, yeah, all right, cool, bet, right? So all the people that's crying about Captain America being Sam Wilson and not Bucky, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense as far as the MCU is concerned. Everything happens differently in the comic books. Then if it's the comic books, then we might have a different story, because things happen different when it comes to Bucky, right? But Bucky has been technically MIA for most of the first 3 sagas of the MCU, with him popping up in Winter Soldier and Civil War. That's the only time we see him. Then after the last time we see him is at the end of the post-credit scene of Civil War. Dude is in stasis, right? The Wakandans are trying to help Bucky. They're trying to flush out the mind control thing that was set upon him. We see him pop back up in Infinity War. Now he's on the good guy's side. But still, then we get Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where Bucky's still kind of wrestling with the things that he had to do. Like, he's not mentally in a good spot. We see him trying to be friends with somebody he killed, and you could tell how bad he felt about it. You could tell. Mentally, I don't think Bucky was in a good state in the Winter Soldier. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But as far as personally, so when we think about it, it makes sense why Bucky is not the Captain America of the MCU currently. Would we like to see it at some point? Maybe, yes. I would like to see it. If Sebastian is playing the character in the next, maybe the Mutant Saga or something like that. I don't even know how the Mutant Saga is going to work and how the Avengers are going to be incorporated in that. If the Mutant Saga is just going to be strictly mutants, and we get a break from our normal Avengers. But this is one of the things that people got to understand. Sam Wilson being Captain America makes sense according to the timeline of the MCU and how everything has happened. Notice that Bucky has been missing for more than everything that Steve has been through post being defrosted from ice, okay? And he was presumed dead, to be honest. To be fair, he was presumed dead. So when we sit here and talk about and argue how we don't like Sam Wilson, you don't have to like him as Sam Wilson, but also understand why it does make sense that he is. Like, I'm not saying y'all gotta like it, but understand it makes sense why and why Bucky isn't. And that is my whole thing with this whole thing. Like, because y'all really out here arguing about him being Captain America. And I don't get it. Okay? So, anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comments. And sorry that this video was mad long. But I had to get this out. So, tell me what y'all think.